Yo, 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 welcome everyone to the latest edition of Wallet Talks podcast. This is your boy, Jason Alexander, coming back at you, the Wallet Coach in person. I am super, super excited. Yo, you guys, I know I've been away for a while and you guys have been asking about it. What's going on? Listen, the break is over. We are back. Wallet Coach is back. Let's get to it. What you was thinking is probably like, yo, you guys have been away for a while. What happened? Like, the break is over. And sadly, the break that we had for about 2 months, it looks like, was completely unexpected. We were not expecting this break. And I'm going to talk to you guys about some of the reasons why we were MIA for the last 2 months, right? We're going to talk to you about some of the three reasons or three things that happened that caused us to have to step away for a bit and what we learned from those things. And I think it will help you because it gives a glimpse of, get to know me better, my family, but also how we made decisions and made moves with our family and how it makes us a better steward. Because look, the ultimate goal, as it says in the podcast opening, is to have better conversations about money. Life is one of the engine or the fuel for our lives. If we don't have money, let's be real. If you don't have money, you're not going to be able to live the life that you want to design. You'll be able to live, but it's not the life that you design for yourself. So there's money required to live the life that you are trying to create for yourself and live the life that you want. Nothing in this life is free. One of my pastors used to say, there's no free lunch out there, not one. So we got to work for it. So hopefully this conversation allows you to get a glimpse on how we make decisions and where we are and how I just to be honest, we're going to relaunch some things. This gave us a lot of time to think and to question our priorities, which is good because as I was telling my wife a couple of days ago, I've been married for 10 years and the question was, are we the same from when we first married? We had the same goals. And I was like, we probably don't. And I was like, wait a minute, we don't have the same goals. Is that a bad thing? Like, for real, like, you think that's a bad thing? You don't have the same goals as you did when you first got married? And I had to honestly say to her, I was like, I don't think it is. I think that we all evolve, and I think that growth is part of living. And the more you're resistant to growth, the more you will miss out on having a life that's more abundantly that God has promised us. Jesus came to the earth and said, hey, I come to give you life and life more abundantly. So if we deny ourselves from being uncomfortable and to grow and to evolve, we're also denying ourselves on the back end that life abundantness, our fullest potential. So specifically our conversation, and I'll get into the things why we had while we were MIA for two months. But the conversation that we had that asked us to question what our goals were from year 1 to year 10, our year 1 goals and our mindset regarding money was so much different than it is right now. When we first got married, you guys kind of know our story. We were way in debt, like student loan debt, credit card debt, housing investment debt, that was to the tune of at least $118,000, a little bit more if you include the investment properties, which is another $100,000. So when we first got married, our goal was to get debt free. And we did. We got debt free. It took a lot of discipline, though. It took us two years and 2 months, 2 years and 3 months, or something like that. And it was a good journey. Our mindset after becoming debt free was to remain debt free. Eliminate debt. Don't talk to it. Don't speak to it. You're allergic to it. Do everything cash. And we did that. We did that for the first 7 years of our marriage. It hasn't been really, it hasn't been till the pandemic, actually. So the first 8 years, well, we've been in the pandemic for 2 years, and we're in 2022 when you're listening to this. And it wasn't until then, wow, I'm just thinking about this right now live. It wasn't until we bought our first home together that we had to enter into new debt, right? And that was our first major debt, which was our home. But in the circles of the debt-free community, that's okay. That's fine. That's building an asset. That's acquiring an asset, and that's allowing you to have a home. And you're going to pay someone. Might as well pay something that you can build ownership in, and that's what we did. But in that, I'll be honest, I got the bug to kind of explore other opportunities to leverage debt. Now, that's a scary word to some people, leveraging debt. Long story short, we're leveraging debt. We're using some credit cards. We're using loans to get the house repaired and things like that. But the quirk that we have to it is that all of this is budgeted for. We're using the other people's money for a short period of time so that we can earn different other perks that we can then turn around and do some other things. But for us, it ultimately helps our financial lives be a little bit more fluid, take advantage of opportunities, but it's not for everybody. Our design, I'll get more into it in other podcasts, is really specific and it requires a different mindset. And like I said, I'll go to that mindset in another podcast, but it goes into a different mindset that requires us to that helps us not get over leveraged and get into bad debt or get into a hole where we can't get out of. So I'll get into that. That's a little teaser for an upcoming podcast. But let me get to our topic of the day. Is the break is over. Why were we MIA the last 2 months? Well, people, the reason why we were MIA the last 2 months, man, we really had some new responsibilities. Like there were some family dynamics that changed, and I can't get too detailed with it, but one of them required me to be a caretaker. Another required me to step into a father figure role. And those two dynamics, taking on those two responsibilities, took away a lot of my time. Unexpectedly, but not in a bad way. It was good. I liked doing it. And I knew that that's what something God had called me to do, to step into those moments that there was a gap. And stepping into those roles really gives me life. So what I can say is I'm a part-time caretaker for my grandmother. I'm a godfather that is taking in for a period of time my goddaughter until this season is over. But those roles, I won't say I was a little reluctant. I knew that it wouldn't be easy, but I had peace about each one of those things because I knew what it would do for the family and how it would bless the family, even though it might be a little hard on the front end. So that's one. The other one is during that same time period, and we're getting adjusted still for those two new responsibilities. The second one is my 9 to 5 picked up big time. My 9 to 5 job picked up tremendously. It was so much work that it was stressful. So much so, again, some other family dynamics was happening and falling apart, whatever, if you want to call it, that it affected my 9 to 5 work. At the same time, I had to do had more responsibilities personally. I was given more responsibilities on the job that I honestly, at the time, did not handle well. I did not do, I won't say I didn't do my best, but I couldn't give them 100% of me because I was distracted. I was distracted on my family. However, God, through God's grace, oh my gosh, His grace allowed us to still finish the project, still get it done with minimal damage or consequences or delays. So that's another one. So that lasted a month or two. That assignment, and the third thing that caused us to kind of still have delays is we had to do some unexpected traveling because we had death in the family. Yep, had death in the family. But in that same season, man, some other opportunities came up where I was able to step up and on a different role at my local church and able to just be able to bless my family in some different ways because of the 9 to 5. They caused me to have more hours, but that also brought in more income, which I was able to use on my family. So those family emergencies, and it's amazing how God blesses you. Those family emergencies did cost money, but God had already made the provision. Even though it felt really hard, really, really hard. It felt really hard. Anyway, and it was probably the most stressful time I've ever had in my adult life. God was using that hard season and preparing me to be in a position to help my family in this loss, this family loss. And it made it smooth. It was easy to make decisions because I had the resources set aside already. And I'll have another podcast about this one too. We have reached one of our financial goals of being 6 months of an emergency fund. We've built up 6 months worth of living expenses, bare minimum living expenses. And what that means is we've built up 6 months worth of housing payments, utility payments, food payments, not payments, but amounts, and transportation costs. So we built up 6 months of housing costs, utility costs, transportation costs, and food costs. So if something happens, we're okay. And anything above that, we're able to give and to be a blessing. And in this moment, it was not a hard decision to say, yeah, I'll go and travel, and I can help pay for some things to get us there because it's important. Versus trying to figure out when and how we're going to steal from Peter to pay Paul. We didn't have to do that. And that's a blessing. But a blessing came through some hardship, came through some tough time. I had, some extra hours and stuff like that. So put in some extra hours in the 9 to 5. So those are reasons why we've kind of been MIA. I'm not proud of it because all those new requirements and 9 to 5 and emergencies and things like that caused me to neglect something that gives me life, which is this podcast. Y'all don't know, I like doing this podcast. I like speaking to you guys. I like sharing with you guys. And I hope you like listening. And I hope that what you hear is good and it helps you make better decisions with your money, wherever that is. And I'm going to take a break right now and say, yo, thank you guys. Shout out to everyone who has literally put in a review for us on Apple Podcasts. Like, that really helps. And if you love our stuff and you want to support us, that's one of the great ways you can do that. Subscribe, download our podcast, like literally download it, download episodes, because that gives us matrix, and leave comments and rate us. So while we were away, I'm gonna pull this up. I was unplanned. While it talks, I want to read some of those reviews that you guys left. And I was really, really happy that you guys did that. I was unexpected. I was scrolling through the other day and I was like, oh, wait a minute. We do got some reviews, right? So I was like, oh, I didn't know. So we have a 5-star rating. in Apple Music. And like recently in June, like really this last one, someone says our practical financial advice is the heading. This is from Rising Sun 1908. They says this is one of the best financial podcasts out there. Jason and Tiffany offer practical financial advice from a Christian perspective. They are funny and knowledgeable. Well, thank you. We appreciate that. And those are the kinds of things that kind of get me going, yo. Like, oh my gosh, this really means something. And this was posted on June 25th. This is not something that I solicited. This was during our break. You guys were listening and probably catching up on a lot of podcasts that you probably store up because we sent out to a certain group of people. If you are in our circle and you have solicited to us to get the podcast notifications sent directly to you, right? And if you probably have a library of podcasts in your iPhone or in your text messages that you can go back and listen to. If you want that, I'm giving you an opportunity right now. Text us, text the word plug in to 470-606-8949. 470-606-8949. Put the word plug in and we'll add you to our text distribution. And so you'll get an instant notification of when our podcast goes live so you can see it. Also, if you download the podcast, you'll get the notification as well and follow us. But this review came in during our unexpected sabbatical. And I really, really appreciate it. We have some more. I'll share those. We have 9 ratings out here, or we have more than 9, but we have some more comments in here that I have to look at. Okay, here's another one. Okay. Here's another one. This is one. It's from Ray Nord. So she writes, this show gives a raw and real look at personal finance and how it affects your life and relationship. Glad to know I'm not the only one who's had financial wins, but also major mistakes. Highly recommended. Candid and delightful. 5 stars. Thank you, Ray Nord. Thank you guys. Man, like I said, the one way you can support us is by giving us the ratings, rating us on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, and leaving a comment, leaving us some words of encouragement, right? So others can buy in too. And again, if you want to plug in and get text messages, other podcasts, so you can just click from your phone in an easy way, text the word plug in to 470-606-8949. 470-606-8949. Now that going back to our topic, I've shared with you why we were out, I want to let you know it changed our focus. As we noticed that we were out, because one of you guys reached out to us, like, yo, I've been noticing, I've been part of the people who are in our circle who get these notification and text messages. They was like, hey, they text us back. You can text us and we'll respond. They text us back and say, hey, I haven't noticed a link come through yet, or whatever. And what happened? I was like, hey, we've taken an unexpected break. Sorry, we haven't got there. And it's like, man, I really miss it. I really enjoy you guys' messages, and please keep going. And you know what? We're answering that. We're keeping going. However, we're going to be shaking some things up, because it made us give us some time to think about how we want to do this, what we want to do, and how we're going to be like plugged in, right? So I've joined masterminds and gotten some education, been working on my personal development, and so I can be a better husband, be a better business person, a better entrepreneur. And so it helped me to see, okay, this is what do I really, really want? What is really Wallet Coach? Well, and some of these things that we're going to be focusing on now is not too different, but just how we do it. See, we're going to have the same objective, which is for the Wallet Talks podcast, is to have better conversations about money, to make better decisions with our money, so that we can enjoy the fruits of our labor while being godly stewards of our money. That's the objective of this podcast. If you don't know, now you know. Would. So one of the things that helped me change my focus is I actually been reading this book. It's called Simple Money, Rich Life by Bob Lattic. It's called Simple Money, Rich Life, Bob Lattic. Simple Money, Rich Life, achieve true financial freedom and design a life of eternal impact. Oh my gosh, this is such a good book. I recommend it. I'm not getting any kind of endorsements from it. I should, but it's a really good book, right? And in that book, it gives me ways to make money management a lot simpler, and to focus on being a better focus on being a good steward of the money that God gives me by helping me look at new metrics, right? So I'm gonna give you a tip right now. Like, one of the metrics that it has me to look in a different way was net worth, right? But really, net worth is saying how much I'm worth. And that's not really, my worth isn't made by my numbers. My worth in life does not come from how many assets I have, how much assets above my liabilities I have. My worth ultimately comes from God and what the Bible says about me and my personal relationship with God. So, facts. I'm not worried about my net worth. What I am worried about, and what this book helped me to realize, is I should look at how I am managing the assets God has given me. So instead of saying net worth, use that same formula and just give it a new label. It is my assets under management. The assets God has given me, which is my job and the income that I earn, and however I use those resources to purchase new assets, all of those things, all those resources that He has given me, how am I managing those things? They should be in the positive, not in the negative. So, Jason, what do you mean? How do you calculate that? Well, your assets minus your liabilities equals your net worth. Another way of saying it is what you own minus what you owe equals a positive or negative number. If you have a positive number, that means you own more than you owe. If you have a negative number, you probably indicator that you owe more than you actually own, and you're in a deficit. A lot of people might be in a deficit. Everyone starts off with a deficit. Me and my wife started off in a deficit, right? We're probably plus 150 K through our investments in 401ks and things like that, and our jobs and stuff like that. That's probably where we are. Well, not probably. That's pretty much where we are. And I'll talk more about 401ks and the recession that's here or not here, but it really is here, and how we're going to survive through it. Those will be other podcasts. What I'm trying to say is everyone started in negative. You start in negative or zero. The main goal is to say, okay, if you were in a negative position, don't get down on yourself. Don't say, oh, I'm a bad steward of my money. Just say, okay, I know how I need to improve. And your first goal is to probably break even. Get to zero, right? And start fresh, right? Where what you own minus what you owe is zero. It matches 100%. It's 1-to-1. And then, to me, the way you make this internal impact is you start using your resources to create more resources. It's kind of like what the Bible says. The Bible says, be fruitful and multiply. So you start using your resources to make more resources, allows you to create a greater impact into the kingdom of God. Sometimes to make a lasting eternal impact. So, like I said, the focus hasn't changed, but for me, the focus of this podcast hasn't changed, but for me, Jason Alexander, the wallet coach, in our personal life, we're trying to make our money simple and have a rich life so that we can have internal impact. One of the ways we're making life simple is making things more automated. I kind of talked about that before in the podcast. Making things more simpler, streamlined, so that I don't have to put as much effort into it. Like I shouldn't be spending 2 hours trying to do a budget or a spending plan, is that we call it. It isn't. We have a routine. We know the routine. We have set things in place. We might have some minor tweaks. There shouldn't be too many drastic changes from month to month from your spending plan. Like I said, I'll give you our 4-step framework, our 4-part framework to a spending plan. First is plan. P in the plan is pray and prepare before you spend. So when we're praying, preparing, it's just it's giving us a vision of what we want to do for that month. And that really shouldn't change from our year perspective, our year goals, our year objective, our yearly objective, right? Or that year's objective. And so it should be added, it should be a stepping stone towards that. So it shouldn't be too much different from the prior month. Second, now that you know that you got to prepare and then you start spending, then you lay aside for God and you first, right? You give your tithes. I'm encouraging you guys to start tithing. Give is so powerful. I'll talk about that more in future podcasts. Lay aside for you first. Lay aside for God and you first. Now that's investing in your mind. I started investing in my mind. I've taken some challenges. I just got off a tax-free wealth challenge. I'm in a mastermind. I'm developing my mind and myself. We just hired someone to help us declutter, helping us to free ourselves and give us tips on how to be productive, right? Taking care of our health, getting a juicer to help us eat healthier and get those nutrients that comes from fruits and vegetables in us quicker and easier. Laying aside for God and you first, right? Those things are first line. Those are first line items that our money is gonna go to. Third, assign every remaining dollar a job, because we don't want any dollar that comes into our hands to go unemployed. We want to employ every single money. There's a saying that money makes a horrible master, but a great servant. So if it's a great servant, make it serve us in the best possible way. So give it a job, right? And the last thing, once you give it a job or set limits on what you want your money to do, the last part of the framework is never spend more than you have. You stay consistent. You stay within your means. You stay within the limits that you set. You honor the boundaries that you set for yourself. And then you execute, right? Well, you might think, oh, my boundaries are too tight. Yo, just be content with what you got. You might be, they go on this vacation. Be content with what you got. Oh, they doing this and they doing that. Be content with what you got. Learn how to be a base and the bound in any season. Right? So that's our 4-part framework. So it's to create a spending plan. Pray and prepare before you spend. Take time to count the costs. Get a vision. Lay aside for God and you first. Tithe and invest in yourself. Assign every remaining dollar a job. Make sure no money is going unemployed. Your income minus your expenses should equal 0. They should match up 1-to-1. And once you set those limits, in the 4th part, never spend more than you have. So take that. Like I said, our objective and our focus on that, teaching how to become financial or good financial stewards, has not changed and will not change. But something for you that's going to change is how we do the podcast. If you notice, I didn't do a topic of the day. If you notice, I didn't have any transition music, kind of just went into it. There's going to be some other changes that I'm excited to share, but we're still trying to work out some things. And also we're going to change how we deliver our services and our service offerings. So those things are coming. Just be patient. I know I will make the announcement when the time is right, but just that's what happened during our break. We just got an opportunity to look at things differently and to adjust accordingly. So that's what we've learned. That's what we are. And I hope that you see, man, this is going to be a great journey. And I hope that you join us in this journey as we grow and evolve and develop, and so that we can have the rich life that we all want, to have the life that God has called us to have, which is to have life and life more abundantly. But that doesn't happen until we make changes in ourselves, right? Our saying is change your mind, change your wallet, change your life. So change your mindset and how you look at things. Make better decisions with your wallet. Then you can have the life that you wanted, that you've always designed or desired to have. All right, that's my time. This is your boy, Jason Alexander, the Wallet Coach, signing out. Peace.